Hey, this is Matt Wallace. Welcome to another Music Quest interview. It is April the 11th. Oh, April the 10th. I can't remember what day it is. I got to fix that. Today we're going to be interviewing a friend of mine, a local guy, and his name is Kevin Wayne Johnson. Welcome, Kevin.
Hello.
Hey. Glad to have you, man.
Glad to be here.
I have... It's been a month since I did my last interview, and right when we started getting this thing going, I was starting to really get into it and enjoy them. I enjoyed all of them, but then some stuff happened with our scheduling, and it's been a month. So I am thrilled not only to be talking to you, which is you've always been on my list, but just to be interviewing anybody right now. It's great.
Just to do something. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I got two people in the chat already, and we're going to go ahead and practice this to make sure that you can see what you need to see. Come on. Where'd it go? Come on. Here we go. So you ready? You got to see. You got to see. You're going to look on your screen.
Hey, it's BK and the Understanding.
That's right. So. Yeah, they're on saying hi.
So I know them.
Yeah, I know them too. So Alex, my son-in-law's on. So welcome,
hey, what's
to
up?
Alex.
What's up, Alex?
Yeah. So you've already blown the top off of the immediate chatters. Usually it takes, like I said, I haven't been doing this very long, and so I definitely don't have any like massive following, but.
Same here.
Yeah, fair enough. That's good. So we this is recorded, and I'll clean it up. So when I completely screw something up and hit the wrong button, there's no audio or something like that. I'll clean all that, and we'll post it on the Facebook, not the Facebook page. Actually the links to it, but I have a website where I'm putting all these interviews after the fact. So. Okay. So even if somebody doesn't know about this now, a year from now, your fan base can come back and go, do you remember when Kevin looked like that?
What happened?
Well, no, I mean, you have had different looks over time.
Yeah, I get accused of that often. It's I always tell people I'm in the witness protection program. People see me like, man, last time you didn't have a beard, you just had a mustache. It's like, yeah, well, you
change it up, man.
All the time.
Yeah, well, I think that in my humble opinion, I'm a happily married man, but I think you're very photogenic. And
thank you.
There's some great pictures of you.
You made me blush, man.
So, a full disclosure, not that this is central to this conversation, and I don't think it matters to anybody, and I'm not even sure how to answer this question, but you and I are related.
Somehow. I have no idea how either. I was hoping you knew, because I really don't know.
Okay, so I'm just going to tell this story. Your father, I was looking on Facebook. I'm going to pull this up real quick. There's a picture that you posted out here of you and your father and your grandfather with some fish.
Okay.
Does that sound familiar?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so it kind of cuts your top of your heads out. So I'm going to say, so the thing is, it's not just me, guys. The actual photo cuts off Kevin. Kevin's on the right. His father and his grandfather, Mark Johnson, is in the middle there. He's no longer with us, but a fantastic a guy, very colorful guy to say the least. And your grandfather was at the Solvay Knudsen reunion in 1994, 95, somewhere in the mid-90s, right? Were you at that thing? Do you remember that?
I don't think I was there, and I don't remember why not.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was out of town or something, but yeah, I wasn't able to make it.
So at that family reunion, we were celebrating 150 years since Solvay Knudsen came from Norway. So Solvay was born in like 1803 or something like that, came to the States, came to Texas, and all of the descendants of that one guy were at this family reunion. Not all of them, but I mean, I think at that time he had like 2,000 direct descendants or some crazy number like that. So at that reunion, like I said, this has nothing to do with music, guys. I know we're on Music Quest, but I'm talking with my friend Kevin, and this is what I remember. Okay, so your grandfather was mayor of Cranfill's Gap. Everybody knew your grandfather. You grew up with him and his your grandmother. They were like, that's where you lived. Everybody was together.
Yeah.
So at that reunion, everybody had name tags. And so depending on what branch of the tree from Salvi, you got a different color. Okay. So we were in the Knutson branch, which I think was the largest one that my family comes out of. So that was one dot. But then there were 3 or 4 other, I can't remember how many branches. It just proves that. I'm sorry. I got to stop for a second and show you what this was just posted. It's very Cranfill's Gap kind of conversation. Yes, it is. So at the reunion, they have different dots for which branch we're in. Well, your grandfather's name tag had 3 different color dots on it. So he was from 3 different branches of the same family.
How did that work? Yeah,
so
that's
I'm pretty sure one of those. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It could have been any dot, and we would have traced back to Salvi. But we connected multiple ways in the family tree. So yeah, so we're full disclosure. You and I are related, and but that's not why I wanted to invite you onto Music Quest. So yeah. Let's just.
I don't mind nepotism.
Well, there's plenty to talk about apart from music, but one of the things. Let's go ahead and just start on that a little bit. Because I've known you for a long time, off and on. I mean, it's not like we've always run around together, but I mean, we've definitely crossed paths a lot for a lot of good reasons. But my initial understanding of who you are, it didn't include you being a musician. And so I'm not saying you weren't at the time. It's just that's not how I thought of you. So tell me about when you got the music bug and started pursuing that actively.
And that surprises a lot of people because it wasn't something that I publicly did for a long, long time. I got my first guitar when I was 13, and I'm 39 now. So I've had at least been in ownership of an instrument for a good while. I started really pursuing the performance and songwriting aspect of it, I guess about a couple of years ago when the pandemic started, and I was working, and we weren't sure if we were going to get to work or not. And I had some time off. So I thought, well, if I've got time off, I'm going to write some songs. And then I started writing songs. And then I was like, well, somebody needs to hear these songs. And I knew I couldn't just call up anybody and get them to perform them. So I just started performing them myself. And then here we are a couple of years later. I've done it quite a bit.
So you had to have messed with your guitar at some point so that you would go, I'm going to write some songs, because you said that with a level of confidence that I think a lot of people would not just start off with. So you had to have had some idea that I'm going to write some songs. Tell me about that.
Well, originally, I was always afraid of my voice, which is what kept me from performing. And I was fairly competent on the guitar. I'm no expert at all. I don't think anyone ever really gets to be. There's always something to learn. But I was just tired of just doing covers, So I had written snippets of songs throughout the years, and I had one that I would call complete that I still play every once in a while that I wrote when I was about 18. But then after that, I wrote that one, and I just never really wrote much. I would write little snippets here and there, but I just got, for some reason, whatever it was, that was just like, just write some songs, and that's that's how it started.
So who taught you how to play the guitar? Did you teach yourself, or?
Mel Bay.
I don't know who that is.
He makes those chord books that have been around for.
Of course. Okay, now I know
Yeah,
what you're talking
yeah.
about.
'Cause I started before the internet was alive and well. So, it was books, and growing up in Cranfell's Gap, especially, there wasn't a bookstore down the road. There's not a music store down the road. You got to go to Waco for either one of those things, which is 45, 50 minutes away. So I got my guitar when I was 13. I've still got it. It's actually sitting right here beside me. The first guitar I ever got. And I got a Mel Bay chord book, and I got like a teach yourself how to play guitar book. And that was it. And I, for like the first 3 months I had a guitar. Oh, and like Guitar World magazine was real big. I had a Guitar World magazine that had tablature in it. I had no idea how to read it, but like I said, for the first 3 months that I had a guitar, I didn't know you were supposed to push the strings all the way down. I thought you were just supposed to mute where the chord position was. So I tried to play like an F chord, and it was just straight, nothing. And I was like, something's not right about this. And I remember the first time I actually pushed the chord all the way down and played it, and I was like, oh, that makes a different sound when you do that. And maybe that's how this goes. So yeah, and I had a Nirvana Unplugged in New York songbook. And that was the first one that it was a Penny Royalty was the first song I ever played that kind of sounded like something that sounds like music. And then BK of BK and the Understanding, he and I knew each other as freshmen in high school. That's how we got to know each other. I think it was freshman year, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But he's a guitar player, and he was more advanced than I was. So I remember like him showing me some stuff and some other people showing me some stuff. And then and then the internet came along, and you could download or look up chords and tablature and whatever for any song you wanted. And that just really opened the doors.
So that's cool. I mean, teaching yourself how to play the guitar is our son taught himself to play the guitar, but he did have the internet. Oh, there it is. There's the book.
That's the one that did it.
That's the one that did it. So I just remember him like, I'm going to learn how to play the guitar. And we're like, cool. And the internet, I thought, yeah, that's the thing. But I think it was the first song he really tried to play was some Lindsey Buckingham song that I was like, oh no, don't start
Calm
with
down.
that.
Kumbaya at first, and then
but
get in there.
The thing was, Kevin, is he did it. The first song you learned how to play was not easy, and I was just like, okay, the internet has proven it's
incredible.
Obviously he had to bring some of his own talent that had to be discovered, but it wasn't because of a teacher. And we were talking about not putting all the notes all the way down. I was taught how to play the guitar at a very young age. And would go to school early in elementary school with my little guitar. We lived close enough where I could walk, so I would carry my guitar. I think I'd leave it up there during the week. But the point is that I learned how to play all the chords, and we could thumb pick, and I learned how to do all kinds of stuff like that. But as I got more advanced, there was no one teaching me. I wasn't taking any lessons, and I started learning that you had to be able to play. Good players play bar chords, so you could move up and down the fret and, play what you need to play. And as a kid, I did not understand how that worked because I had small hands. I was not a grown guy, and I was playing on an acoustic guitar that had the action really high.
Yeah, I think that's everybody's first guitar story is, the action was.
So the action's up. I had this heavy gauge strings on. There wasn't a really good chance I was going to be able to play that properly. But there was no one there to explain to me there's different actions, there are different size, gauge strings. Nobody was there to explain that to me. Or maybe I could try an electric guitar. So I just quit.
Go ahead.
My guitar stopped at like fifth grade. And I could still kind of play the same stuff, but I was just like, wow, because I mean, there was a trajectory and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting when you're trying to teach yourself or you don't have proper instruction, how that can go wrong.
You know, I did take two lessons, if I remember right, two or three, at the Bosque Arts Center when I was about 16 or 17. A guy named Frank Exum, and I think he still teaches in Waco. But I didn't know what I wanted to learn. So I was like jazz. And I was like, I don't care anything about jazz guitar. But I did learn some valuable stuff about tuning the guitar and stringing a guitar that I don't think I would have been able to learn on myself. You know, just having someone explain it to me made it so much clearer. But the demands of work and school at the time, I just wasn't able to keep up with the lessons. So
well, the internet has changed all that because
it's
now
completely changed it.
Yeah, I think humans. I think humans have always been capable of significantly more than what they've done, mainly because they didn't even have the thought. You know, there's always these creative, innovative people out there that are trying stuff that nobody else had even thought about and then turn it into something. I mean, those things may require extra coordination, extra level talent, but but I think there's lots of talent out there. They just don't ever have the idea. So the internet's changed that. So now you've got these people who are doing crazy things on not just music, across the board. And now humans on the other side of the planet don't even speak the same language, see somebody do something, they're like, oh, I'm going to try. And they find that they can. And then everybody's trading tricks and secrets, and so it just kind of exponentially increases. So anybody who wants to learn anything, they really don't have much of an excuse anymore. I mean, because if they want to learn it, there's somebody out there who did a video on it. Yeah. So what kind of guitar do you play? And tell me, what was your first guitar, and is that the same one you still play today? You got some new ones? What do you got?
My first guitar was a pawn shop special. It's called the Lone Star. I don't know. Sorry, I jumped out of the way. It's made in Mexico, painted up. It's got stickers all over it. But this was my first guitar I got when I was 13. And I played it for years. And really all I ever played on it, like when I first started, all I cared to learn was like riffs. So I would learn like the opening riff to Enter Sandman or Sweet Dreams or Come As You Are, you know. And so that's all my whole repertoire was, just 5-second riffs. But when I was about 18 or 19, I got a nicer guitar. Still not a super high end guitar, but it was nicer than this one, and that really opened things up. It was easier to play. It sounded better. It was more fun to play, and I was at an age when I was around other people that were kind of playing, and I could get more information from them. So that really opened things up. And then about 12 years ago now, I splurged and bought a Taylor guitar that I fell in love with at a Guitar Center in Round Rock. And I still have it. I love the way I play it every day, but I don't like the way it sounds plugged in, amplified. So just stop me if I'm rambling too much. But
no. Hey, let me ask you a question. What's the name of this channel? What are we doing here?
Music Quest.
Well, I mean, you're talking music, so you just keep going, man.
All right. So anyway, I played that Taylor for years. When I started gigging a couple years ago, I played my first show at the Horny Toad in 21, if I'm not mistaken. What is this, 23? So it hasn't been that long. But I played a few gigs with that Taylor, and I really didn't like the way it sounded plugged in. And one day I was in town. I think it was September Fest, maybe, or something was going on in town here. And I don't know if you know Kelly Wimbish. He's got a ranch outside of town, out toward the Rock Church, past the Rock Church. But I ran into. I've hung out with him before. He's a huge music guy, knows a ton about music, and is also like an instrument collector, gear collector. And I ran into him one day. He said, "Hey, man, what you been up to?" I said, "Oh, I've been gigging around some, you know." He said, "Man, I've got 2 guitars I've just been wanting to give to somebody. the right person. They just need to be played. They're not being played at my house. Would you be interested in coming and look at them, see if it's something you want? And I said, yeah, sure, man. That sounds great. So I went out to his house one day, and he had this Martin guitar here that I'll explain the color scheme on it here in a little bit. But yeah, he had this Martin here that it was dusty. It was sitting in a corner. It had a crack in it. The bridge was lifting up. It was in a little rough shape. But he said, "Man, it's yours if you want it." And I said, well, "Yeah, I want it. Thank you. I'm so thankful." And didn't have any kind of electronics in it. So I went and bought a Fishman pickup and stuck in it, and I've played it ever since. I played this for every show since I've gotten it. I absolutely love it.
That's fantastic, man. So tell me about the color scheme.
All right, so like I said, it was cracked, and like the bridge was lifting up, and it was kind of scratched up and stuff. You see it real good there. Yeah, there it is. But I've always wanted a red guitar. I like red a lot. I think red's cool. And like this one, the top was already kind of beat up. So I said, I'm going to sand that down. I had some red wood stain out in the garage. I said, I'm going to sand it down and stain it red. If it looks cool, great. If not, oh well, whatever. And I started sanding it. And as I was sanding, I noticed the parts where it had already been played and was worn were sanding off quicker than, like, the finish was coming off quicker than the rest of the guitar. So I sanded for a few minutes and saw where the wear was. I thought, man, I'm just going to run some stain over that and highlight that and see what that looks like. And so I did that. I ran that red stain over it, and you can see like where the pick guard and up here where it's picked. Like, I just thought that was so cool, man. And people either love it or they think I'm a huge idiot, but I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, man. We are definitely in the realm of subjectivity. It's like a preference thing.
I love it. I'm glad I did it, and it gets more compliments than concerns, I guess. But yeah, it's a great sounding guitar. It's a great playing guitar. If I'm not mistaken, BK did some research on it for me. I think it's like a 98 model. I'm not big on looking stuff up, but yeah, I love it. Thank you, Kelly Wimbish.
I am super happy that BK and the Understanding are on the chat with us. He's been chatting a lot more. I haven't highlighted all of them because I'm trying to keep it kind of simple, but he's been agreeing with you and saying, like he just said, it's unique. And it is. It's absolutely unique. Instead of
it's mine.
Yeah, that worn out lighter tone that happens when it gets worn down. Yours has this nice that's one of a kind, to say the least. That's cool. So so you've only been gigging publicly for 2 years.
Yes.
And so what have you learned in those 2 years that you're like, if I could go back 2 years and tell myself this or that, what would you tell yourself? There doesn't have to be a serious answer to this. I was just would be interested.
Everybody knows somebody who does it and does it real good. And man, you ought to hear this one guy play. But other than that, man, I've been real fortunate, man. Like, it took me a long time to get over, because I've always been a real quiet, kind of reserved person. Never wanted to be the center of attention. But the first time I actually performed, I was like, that felt good. Like, I need to do that more. Getting over my fear of just asking, not being afraid to, like, if you're interested in playing somewhere, just ask or figure out how to get there. That's been a cool thing to learn. If I had to go back in 2 years and tell myself something, I don't really know that I would change much about the trajectory that I've gone so far. Yeah, it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows, but it's been pretty darn cool.
So it'd be more along the lines of, it's going to be okay. Just enjoy the ride.
Do it. Just do it. That's if I had to go back even further, because like I said, I'm 39 years old. It started when I was 37, which is a little late to the game. But at the same time, I'm kind of thankful that I didn't start when I was in my 20s, because I don't know if I would have survived it, because the party scene is there. And I feel like I'm kind of aged out of that, So I don't want to hang out and get drunk after the show. I want to go home and go to bed,
You're an old man.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm proud of it.
Oh man. Well, speaking of people staying around and drinking and doing stuff, I mean, one of your identities is you were my favorite bartender at the Horny Toad.
Oh,
how long did you do that?
I did that for about 5 years.
I have to be careful because I have a cousin who's now my favorite bartender at the Toad.
Yeah, well, that's understandable.
But yeah, you did it for five. It was only 5 years.
If I'm remembering right, yeah, it was about 5 years.
Oh wow! I did not. I thought it was longer than that, but it was an important 5 years.
I'm just kidding. It was fun.
So when you go back, I don't. People may not know anything about what we're talking about, but the Horny Toad is a bar and grill in Cranfills Gap, Texas, and that's where you were born and raised. Or you were? Nobody's born in Cranfills Gap.
I was born in Clifton, 20 miles down the road, and then I made the trip over. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my pet peeves about Mr. Sheridan, Mr. Famous guy.
Same here, man.
It just burns me that he tells people that he was born in Cranfills Gap. I'm like, nobody was born in Cranfills Gap.
My great grandmother maybe in a bathtub in the house, but nobody since then. It drives me crazy.
I have a real attitude about that dude.
I've got me and my buddy Justin wrote a song about him.
Oh,
haven't released it yet, but yeah, it's
awesome.
It's just about like, hey man, if you say you're from here, have you done this? Have you done this? Like, have you done this? Like,
right. Well, I was not born here. I was born out in West Texas, but the family. I was always here growing up. Every Christmas, Thanksgiving, summers and that kind of stuff. So I've always been down here, but I never claimed to be from here. So the thing is that I started talking to the locals. I mean, down at the Toad, I was like, so you're the right age. Did you ever see this dude here? And they're like, nope. And so I think I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about this. However, I am going to publicly say, I think if he would say that part of my life was influential on me, it was important when I was down in that area, spent some time, but to sit there and it feels like he's trying to claim an identity that is not his to claim. And there are other things about, as a filmmaker, as a producer type person, some of the stories I've heard, I don't know that I would be a big fan for other reasons. But yeah, so you were not born in Cranfills. See, that's what I love about you. If anybody had the right to say they were born in Cranfills Gap, it would be you, not that guy.
Yeah, no, I've spent a lot of time here.
Yeah.
A lot of time. Yeah.
And so you're from Cranfills Gap. That's where you were raised. You are definitely a Gapite. So I'm not from the Gap. I know all about it, but is there some phrase that people from the Gap have actually don't want to punch somebody if they call them that? Like, is a term from being from the Gap?
Japanese.
No, you're kidding me.
It's never taken off. I've tried to get it to stick, but it just won't work.
Japanese.
I tried and tried, man. It just won't stick.
Well, maybe it just needed to be on a podcast sent across the interwebs.
It's going through now.
I am down.
I think Gapite was what I've heard most commonly used.
Yeah. So there's in your pictures, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. I think I saved one of the pictures from your collection was this one. Let me pull this up. That was in some of your pictures. And so I don't know. I don't know what the population is now. Do you know what it
I think it's
is?
like 272.
It's not
It's not.
three.
I don't think it. Maybe it's 322 on the sign now. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've looked at it.
Yeah, that gives everybody an idea
Yeah.
of how many people can claim to be from. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
photo credit. Kim actually took that picture. My ex girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I don't want to claim credit for that one because that's her picture. But
That's a good picture.
she snapped that. I think maybe even the first time she came to town, she was like showing her friends, like, "Whoa, I'm in the sticks now." You know?
So BK saying he speaks Japanese.
Yes, yeah, he's fluent in it.
Fluent in Japanese. All right, so the horny toad, the reason why we got on the Gap is that the horny toad is really the only game in town. I mean, there are a couple things here and there. There's the gas station that you can get something to drink and eat, but really the only destination when it comes to food in Cranville's Gap over time has been the Horny Toad Bar and Grill.
Yes.
And so when we talk about the toad, that's what we're talking about. It is definitely part of the experience. Actually, I was looking at this earlier, and I don't think I found it. I was at the last minute, I was thinking about trying to see if I could find one of the opening scenes from the live broadcast that we did back. I got to mute this because I can't put the music because it's been copyrighted. But let me see if I can pull up one of these episodes from the Horny Toad Bar and Grill. You're in the opening credits of the show that we did live there. Do you remember that?
I remember you doing the show. I don't remember being.
Yeah, you were in the credit. I mean, not in the credits. You were in the opening sequence.
Okay,
let's see. So here, I'm going to play. Oh, let's see. Okay, hold it. So you can probably hear the music, but I'm not sending it out because I don't want to get written up and banned from having copyright music on it. So let me do this. I'm going to switch over to a different view. I should be. This is the start of the show. There's the Horny Toad, and you're coming up. There you are.
Look at that. Such a handsome young fella.
Yeah. So these are scenes from the Horny Toad from the TV show that we did back in the day. And yeah, there you are again. There's let's see, right coming up. There you are. Right there. So that guy we always said was a Mexican Paul McCartney.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
So the Horny Toad is where you worked for 5 years as one of the bartenders, and I can't imagine that you didn't hear a bunch of stuff that you're like, I didn't need to hear that.
Yeah, it's you learn to just either tune out or you learn to just train your ear to hear Miller Lite or everything else is just noise, but yeah, it was. I mean, the people that were in there it was all very cool, man. It was a really cool experience. I was thankful for the opportunity to do it, and yeah, it's just it's still a cool place. That's where I played my first show.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they'll have music acts there off and on. It's not like an always thing, but it's not an unheard of thing. So so how long had it been since you had quit working there to when you did your gig there?
A couple years, at least a few years, maybe 3 or 4 years. Now looking back on it, I'm trying to remember exactly when I stopped working there. My memory is not the most reliable.
Did they call you back in? You'd already quit, but then they kept pulling you back in.
They're still trying.
They're still trying to do it, huh?
That's another one of those things I feel like I've aged out of. I don't think I had the patience for it anymore. You have to be very patient to deal with the public in that capacity. And as I've gotten older, my patience has gotten shorter. So I spend a lot of time at my house.
Boy, you are full old man, aren't you?
Yes.
So So you were basically did your first gig there. Do you remember that gig pretty well?
I do. Yeah, it was really cool. Like I booked it, and a bunch of my family came, a bunch of my friends came, BK came. Um, it's just it's a really good crowd. It was a Sunday afternoon. Um, and I remember I wasn't nervous, which surprised me. I think I played for 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that. No set list, just went up and played songs, and the response was really great. People were nice, which is always cool. And so yeah, it was a really fun experience. And yeah, it was a good feeling.
What was your mix of covers versus originals at that point?
It was mostly covers. I probably played maybe 10 originals, if that, at that point, because I was still writing. I'm write every day, but I was still at the beginning stage of writing some. So I probably had, and I don't know if you know this or if we've ever talked about this, but I started releasing music online, just like YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that, under a fake name.
Mm-hmm.
I
do remember that.
Using the name Deacon Snyder, because I was too like shy to put myself out there like that. And then so I came up with this Deacon Snyder alter ego, and I'd wear a cowboy hat and sunglasses and like a denim shirt, and I would kind of amp up my Krampus Gap accent a little bit. But as I started getting more serious about it, what really made me not want to do that anymore is I started meeting other musicians.
Right.
And I met there's a guy named Brett Patterson, and he had a show in Walnut Springs. I stopped into his show after I played in Stephenville with BK. I stopped in to catch Brett Patterson. He said, "Hey man, what's up, Deacon? Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it." I was like, "Oh, that feels weird. I can't do that." So then I kind of rebranded myself as my own name. Yeah, I don't remember where we started.
No. I mean, I was just asking you about that first gig, and
yeah. The first time I ever played in front of people in any real capacity was a little before that. This is what kind of started this whole deal. Is I was sitting in my house. I was working from home. I was assembling switchblade knives, like you do. That's what I was doing for work. I was sitting in my house, and I was bummed out. I wasn't feeling good. And then I saw that this place in Waco had an open mic. It's called Classy Glass, a wine bar downtown. They were having an open mic. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go play some of these songs I've been writing. So I went and played 2 songs at Classy Glass. It probably took me a minute and a half to play 2 full songs because I was so nervous and rushed through them. But after I played those 2 songs, got a good response. People were cool to me there. I came home that night and bought a PA. Like I was like, oh, I'm doing that more, because that was too much fun. And then I booked my show at the Toad. And then in a brilliant stroke of planning, I booked my next show in California. Because that's what you do. You go Krampus Gap, California. That's the trajectory.
Well, tell me about that trip. I really want to hear about this for sure.
Do you remember when Krampus Gap got taken to Las Vegas?
I do. And actually, just at the last minute, I remembered that, and I found the promo of that.
Yeah.
And the promo of that Las Vegas tourism campaign, the entire thing starts off with your voice.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, it does. So yes, I definitely remember that.
Yeah. And have you ever seen the full? They made like a movie out of it.
I don't know about the movie
I've got
part.
a copy of it on DVD if you want to borrow.
No, I definitely am going to copy it. However you get it, I'm going to convert that so there's more than one copy of it. I did not know that. I know they had all these different episodes that they were releasing, and I saw a bunch of those. But
they kind of compiled everything and gave it to us as kind of like a thank you or whatever.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's very cool. I'll get it to you.
Definitely.
But the casting director on that, Ashton Ramsey, he and I have remained friends through social media all these years. And after I played my show at the Horny Toad, I was like, I'm going on tour. I'm big time now. And so I called Ashton up. I was like, hey man, you got anywhere to play out there in California? He lives in California. he said, yeah, man, come on out. And he had just recently renovated a motel in 29 Palms, California. The entrance to it is like right across the street from Joshua Tree National Park entrance. Like it's a beautiful area. But he has this hotel and restaurant. It's called Kitchen in the Desert, and Ramsey 29 Palms is the name of the hotel or motel. And he said, yeah, come on out. We'll put you up at the restaurant, give you a place to stay, and you can play some songs out here. So that's how I ended up in California. And that was in October of 21.
Dude, so I think about how much people learn over years of gigging. Like when Miriam was gigging in Dallas, I remember she had been gigging with these guys for a long time. All right. But it wasn't until they played an entire month at the DFW hotel there in the airport. They played every night for a month. And it was like after that, there was like another level of jail. So when you're gigging, there's all these different like things you learn along the way. And you went and did that after one gig. That's crazy. Yeah.
Well, it worked out well for me as well, because I was like, well, that's a long trip to just one gig, drive all the way out to California. I drove out there. So I said, I'm going to try to find some gigs along the way. So I found this Clovis, New Mexico was along my route. And there's a brewery there in Clovis called Bandolero. I called them and said, hey, I'm coming through to California to play a show. If y'all have any openings, and they said, yeah, come on out and play. So I played in Clovis, New Mexico. That was my first out of state show, was actually in Clovis. And I've been back to Clovis 5 times now. Like it's, it was just such a cool thing to find.
That is very cool. That's a good story.
I played that show at Bandolero, the brewery there. The bartender there also did the booking at a steakhouse there in town. And he was like, hey, man, next time you come to town, we'll set up a 2-day deal. You can play here and the steakhouse. Then the next time I went back, I had 3 gigs. The next time I had 4 gigs lined up, so it's been really cool. It's been a lot of cool people out there.
Well, I think that's outstanding. And that's got to be encouraging to anybody who's like, I want to do something. I should go for it. Because I think your story so far has been the epitome of like, I should have done it earlier, but I'm glad I've did it. And yeah. That's
a big part of it for me is, I'm just kind of making up for lost time, I was like, and that really took a lot of the fear out of it for me. I think was just like, you don't have a lot of time to waste. So do it. And if they're cool with it, great. If not, move on to the next place,
Well, that's outstanding. So I've got a couple of things here. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of supporting media, and we don't have to have that to have a good time talking and the whole interview thing. But I feel like I'd love to just briefly show people the introduction to that series that we're talking about, because I found it. It's queued up. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick and get the sound working.
A bald me. Or shape of me.
A bald you. So here, I think, it did it again. I got to be careful when I change scenes. Yeah. So I think everybody should be able to hear this. And the first voice you're going to hear on this is a Las Vegas tourism ad campaign that involved Cramples Gap. And this is Kevin talking, the first voice you hear.
Cramples Gap is just a real relaxed place. Come down here, have a beer at the bar, play a game of pool every now and again, play some cards.
There you go.
Hills and those sumac turning colors to red, and the cedars are green, and the skies are blue. I mean, it's nice stuff.
To me, this is more than a group of people that have the same zip code.
Shelley.
You're gonna never meet a stranger, but you're probably gonna gain a friend.
This is where I
know a lot of people live here have never left Bosque County, and everybody's just working all the time. I think everybody needs a break.
I don't think I've ever had a full day off.
Probably had 2 vacations in 31 years. Never had a week off in my life without nothing to do.
Hey, y'all remember when I told you that I might be headed to Vegas? Well, guess what? We're going to Vegas.
Vegas is gonna be a great time. We're gonna tear it up, dude. Burn it down. Leave ashes.
My friends gave me so much hell for that too, because I said some people here have never left Bosque County. Like, dude, I can walk out of Bosque County. It's Hamilton County is right there. Like,
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
that
that's
far.
somebody getting legalistic. I think everybody understands what you mean by that.
They just told me a lot for that one, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, just be clear in case you didn't catch that. Kathy, friend of ours, is on there. She's liking that shot of the church. Yeah, it was well produced. There's no doubt about it. But to clarify what he just said is that Cranfield's Gap, the town, sits right on the edge of the county line. And actually, my Aunt Barbara's place, it's Cranfield's Gap, but it's just over the county line. Like half their properties in Bosque, and the other part is So that's what he's talking about. It's a well produced thing. I definitely want to get a copy of that if you don't mind, so I can make a backup for you. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to be an archivist for you.
I'll find my DVD, but it is on one of the guys' websites. One of the producers, a guy named Justin Corsby. It's on his website. I'll see if I can find that and send you the link to it.
Yeah, that'd be good if I can just download the sucker. We'll figure that out. That'd be just as fast, or maybe even better.
They did a really good job cutting it all together and making
it was good entertainment. I mean, your dad and those what kind of facial hair is that? It's like extended handlebar
or a handle. I don't know what you call that.
I don't know what you call that. So speaking of facial hair, there's this picture I wanted to show people. Let's see if I can pull this up. It's on this all these pictures. Come on. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. So you've got a lot of pictures like this, but tell me about what possessed you.
Oh, it's coming back. I mean, it's breaking news. I think that's coming back real soon. It's still there.
That particular version of it is very, very tombstone-y.
Yeah, I got Val Kilmer a lot when I had that.
Yeah. So I mean, at what point did you say this is the look? This is what I'm going for?
Well, I'm never really satisfied with any one look. Like I'll wear different clothes and whatever, but that one, I just did it one day. Like I'd let my beard get really long. And then one day I just I'm going to shave my beard off. And I just happened to leave the mustache, and I looked at it and was like, oh yeah, that's what people need to see. So,
so I mean, but I've never done that. I cannot grow. I mean, this is it. I mean, if I ever tried to grow a real man's beard, it's not there. It's just shaggy. It would take me decades to even get close, and I'm not in for that. But so I don't really know a lot about the art of managing it, but you've definitely have some sculpted versions. BK is calling you Johnny
out of Colorado.
He's calling you Johnny Ringo. So that's what I was wanting to find. Tell me more about the whole wax deal, because I mean I've seen pictures of you. It's definitely some serious wax going on.
So when I first started the mustache, I bought some cheap Amazon mustache wax, and it worked fine. And then I found this company called Death Grip Wax out of Colorado, and they make this competition grade wax that you heat up with a hair dryer, and it's serious stuff. And when I had the mustache, I got in pretty close with the folks that run that Death Grip Wax through Instagram. They would like my pictures and share my pictures and everything like that. And now if you go on their Death Grip pomade Amazon listing, like my picture is one of the pictures used for their promotion, which is, I told them they could do it. It's fine. But
I'm going to post this interview on the website. Okay. Once it's done, and then on the page with the interview, it'll be some reference stuff, and I'll post a link to this the Vegas bound thing that we just started watching that starts off with it, so people can check out some more of that because that's cool.
I'll shoot you a link to the full thing once I find it. I'm pretty sure
definitely. The other thing is that we've been talking about music, and I found you playing a song. You posted on Facebook a while back, like a long time ago, like April of 2020. Is that before you started gigging?
Maybe so, yeah, or maybe
yeah,
maybe so.
I was intrigued by this song, and I'm not, it's just, so I wanted to play a little bit of it and then talk about the song and then talk about just songs that you pick and stuff like that. So are you cool with that idea?
Yeah.
All right. So this is on
I look
Facebook.
back and see when my first gig was. Make sure my dates are right.
That's all good. So I'm going to hit play on this bad boy. Do you remember this?
Yeah, that was T.C. Snyder.
Gate swings open.
That's a Tom Russell too.
Here we go. A desperate dance, kick and spin, dust rising from a crossbred bow, fire mixed with pride. This man's come a long way, just for the sure ride. His wife's in the grandstands, trying to swallow a little baby inside her, whose time is drawn near. The bow's flying high now, and then he falls to the side. Their love came a long way, just for the sure ride. Two hearts in the darkness sing a blue lullaby. I'll beat the drum slowly for the cowboy's last ride. When the dust had all settled and the crowds disappeared, the sirens still echo in that unborn child's ears. The little boy's doing it, bro. He'll have his daddy's blue eyes, and he'll always remember his father's last ride. Oh, they preached at the service from John 25, how Christ came a long way, just for the sure ride. Well, the chute gate swings open. Here we go.
Yeah, that's a sad song, man.
That's probably, I still play that song all the time. That's how I say, this is the saddest song I know. And I play. I was like, you guys like sad songs? Here it comes. Like, I love that song so much, man. That's like I said, that's a Tom Russell song. He's one of my favorite songwriters. Love that tune.
All this way for the short ride. So I am not a cowboy. Nobody ever thought I was a cowboy, but I produced a television show for like 5 years, and I've definitely been in the dirt and around a lot of people coming out of the chute. And it is an amazing thing when you think about the time and the money and all that goes into it for an 8-second ride, man.
8 seconds, yeah.
And that's if you make it. That's if you make the ride.
That's if things go right. 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Now, so that's incredible. Like I said, I'm not a cowboy either, man, and I wouldn't claim to be and never would claim to be. But I love cowboy music and cowboy culture and stuff like that. It's just really cool to me. The music, especially.
Yeah, and that's a good song, man. I don't think I might have heard it at some point, but didn't pay attention to it. And when I clicked on that, I was like, "That's pretty awesome."
I love that song.
Yeah, it's a good song. Well, thanks for introducing me to it. I hope that the rest of the people on here.
Yeah, check out more Tom Russell. He's got, I think, if I had to give you a record to start with of his, probably Indians, Cowboys, Horses, Dogs, I think is what it's called.
How could you go wrong with an album named that?
He's got another one called October in the Railroad Earth that's really good too.
That's very cool. The thing is that I did an interview, like my 3rd or 4th Music Quest interview was with a guy. We talked music. We talked about a lot of stuff, but there was no music in that interview. And I think it's interesting. And it wasn't necessary. But when you talk about somebody doing music, I think it's nice to have, at least some reference point as to what the vibe is, what the aesthetic is, what the genre is, all that good stuff. So, yeah, is that pretty much indicative of the vibe? I mean, it's pretty slow.
Of his stuff or my own stuff?
Of your stuff when you're gigging. Because that was before you started gigging, right?
Yes. I just looked. My first official show was August 15th, 2001 at the Horny Toad.
So this was
2021.
So you posted that on Facebook when you were like, I'm gonna,
I was just trying to get my feet wet and get the nerves off of having people see it,
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure that, every musician's excited about that, the early stuff. No, that was good though. I was real good.
Yeah,
you say you do post stuff?
I was relieved that was the one you picked. I was like, man, what else do I don't remember what I posted, but some of it was probably not that great. But yeah, that was cool. Yeah, as far as like my regular show, I play a lot of 3-hour gigs, man. And it takes a lot to make one person with a guitar interesting for 3 hours. So I don't care how good you are. That's a tough sell. So I try to keep it as I'll do a mix of covers and originals. Like I've got some originals that I'll play every show, and then some I'll just throw in when I feel like it. But I try to keep the energy. I try to mix the energy up. I'll do some sad songs, and I'll do Vanilla Ice, and completely change the mood.
Hold it. You have to tell me what Vanilla Ice song does Kevin do? Hold it. It's Kevin Wayne Johnson. Not just Kevin.
Baby, that's the big hit, And wow. Years ago, I worked out this little simple acoustic version of it, and people absolutely love it. And I enjoy doing it, so it's fun for me. But yeah, that's when people ask me like, "Oh, what kind of stuff you play?" I'll say anything from Townes Van Zandt to Vanilla Ice. That's kind of covers it all. Like I'll do Cyndi Lauper songs. It's just
she's got some good songs, man.
Yeah, there's all. And my big thing is when I do a cover, me personally, I don't want it to sound like them doing it, like, because they've already done it. So I'll slow it down. I'll speed it up. I'll play different chords. It's just as long as I convey the idea that I feel like they were trying to convey. I like to make things my own and make it interesting for me to play. Go Ninja, go. I see that one. Yeah. That's a good idea, actually.
That's fantastic. So do you practice? You sit around. You say you write every day. Have you been
I try to write a little bit.
So, I mean, you can't say every day because life happens. But when you write, are you the kind of guy? I'd say most of the time. Sometimes the music comes first. Sometimes the words come first. You know, it's just a kind of variation. That's just this typical thing. Do you tend to lean one way or the other though, even though it could be either way?
It's split pretty. A lot of times, like I'll have a line, and then I will come up with music for that, and then build the song around that little snippet. So, like, but sometimes it is just a riff that I find interesting, or a chord progression I find interesting. Sometimes the music does come first. A lot of times it comes together. I'm a real, when I write, I try not to. I don't want to say it's simple, but I try not to overthink it. Like I just a lot of stuff comes really quick, and some editing probably wouldn't be a bad idea. But
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I like that first thought, best thought.
but I think that there's a lot of wisdom in that, and at the same time, I also know that songwriting is good songwriting is a different level. I mean, there's certain things that you can naturally. I mean, I shouldn't say anybody, but someone who writes music and has any kind of musical stuff, I think is capable of coming up with a really good song. It's like inspired. But to sit there and write song after song after song, there's definitely an art to it. There's a method to it. There's a process that's more likely to get you to a good result. So have you done any co-writing or had anybody edit or listen to your songs and give you suggestions on how to tighten it up?
Yeah. BK has been huge with that. We send each other songs all the time, and get feedback from each other on that. He's helped me with a couple of my songs, kind of finishing touches and stuff like that. I've written with a few other people, and most of it has been by myself. That's kind of what I prefer. But as far like my girlfriend Kelly, she hears all my songs before they go out, and she'll give me yeah, that's great. Or if it's not that great, she'd be like, yeah, it's kind of cliche, which is great. And I actually wrote a song with her that I really love. But yeah, just a lot of it. I recently wrote a song with a guy named Dustin Brown, who hosts the Jam Down by the River, in a Jam Down by the River festival in New Braunfels. We started writing a song there in New Braunfels, and then we finished it over, text and emails, and we actually just went and recorded it a couple weeks ago. So
let's talk about that. You have an EP that you're trying to get finished up right now. Tell me about that process.
Yeah, so I've been wanting to get some stuff recorded. I recorded some stuff with BK quite a bit when I first started, and it turned out really good. I didn't feel like the songs were lived in enough for me to. I don't feel like I performed them as good as I could have. So with a little more time under my belt, I wanted to go in and get some more stuff recorded. So I went up to Oklahoma and recorded with a guy named Matt Moran. I found him. Thank you, man. I found him on Instagram, and I really loved his music. Loved the way it sounded, and so I just like, that's one thing. I love the way his album sounded. So I just messaged him one day. I said, "Hey, man, who does your recording for you?" He said, "Oh, I do it myself in my living room." So you do it for other people? He said, "Yeah, come on up." And so I went up to his house for a couple of days in Altus. Am I pronouncing Altus, Oklahoma? And,
I think so. I think that's right.
Got those recorded, man. So getting ready to release those. Just waiting on some artwork, and should be out soon.
Very good. So those songs were more recent, or is a combination of old, new? I mean, what?
A little of both. It was more recent stuff. I think of because BK and I recorded a bunch of stuff together. Of my older songs, and I think only one of those made the cut for the EP, if I remember right. I think everything else is newer. It was written after we recorded those originally. So yeah, it's like 6 songs, kind of a mix of funny and sad. which is kind of like my shows. That's, I kind of mix it up. I've got a song about drinking NyQuil and then one about dying, so not from drinking NyQuil. But.
I just remember Miriam and I used to throw parties all the time, and we're hoping to throw a party a year from now for the eclipse, but we used to throw a bunch of parties along the way, especially when we were younger. And I remember there was one particular party that we threw, and we famously did not drink. And there were people at that party that were looking for anything alcohol. I just remember walking into our bathroom, and these guys were messing with the NyQuil. I'm like, guys, no.
Dude, no, you gotta be hard up. Yeah, I got this song I wrote fairly recently called "Over the Counter," and it's about drinking NyQuil and taking Sudafed or whatever, just like dirtbag stuff. And man, people love it, and it's like that's gonna be the one I'm remembered for. I just know it.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. Yeah,
it's fun to play. It's fun to play.
Well, that's good. Fun is fun.
Yeah. It tries. Like I play songs like "All the Way for the Short Ride." You need a little levity to balance that out.
That's fair. That's probably a smart thing to do. You should keep doing that.
I remember I was playing a show one time, and Kelly was there, and like she kind of looked over at me. She said, "Play something happy." Like you're bringing everybody down. So I was like, okay. So I try to have a balance.
That's a good plan. Good people spotting you. So speaking of fun, speaking of gigging, music and all that kind of stuff, I think one of the reasons we didn't do an interview earlier is that you were getting ready to go somewhere when we talked last. And I was like, you know what? You need to go on that trip.
Yeah.
So that would be one more thing we could talk about. So tell everybody about what you just recently did. Just kind of give everybody an update on that.
Well, I got to go down to the Big Bend Songwriter Festival in Terlingua, Texas. I've spent 4 days down there. It was Thursday through Sunday, and then I came home Monday. So yeah, it was just a really cool event. It was the first year for it to ever happen. This guy Caleb Wilburn put it on, along with another guy named Brett, whose last name escapes me. But I connected with Caleb through Instagram and said, "Hey man, I'd love to come down there and play Interlingua and at your fest." And he said, "Yeah man, come on, bring it on." And so I did. And it was such a cool event. Ray Wiley Hubbard headlined Sunday night. Larry Joe Taylor headlined Saturday night. Thomas Michael Riley was Friday night. And then Paul Logan Band, if I'm not mistaken, was Thursday night. But it was just such a cool, I don't know how many people listening or watching or have been down to that area, but it is a really special place, I think.
It is. Actually, I grew up going down there because my father was into geology, and we ended up getting some property down in Fort Davis, which is not Big Bend, but is, that direction. And Terlingua is like on another planet.
That's what I kept. It's exactly what it looks like and feels like. It's like being on Mars, from
you
everything.
Think so? So we did a television commercial for Acura or something like that. It was a full-blown television commercial that I think we've done like 2 or 3 different television commercials specifically down there because it does look otherworldly, and you have these rolling hills, and it's very iconic. But there's this one scene or this one place where I was working in one group, and my wife went with the other group, and they went out to this place that literally looked like moonscape. It was just, It had that white, ashy. It looked, it was weird. So, did you find any mine shafts when you're there, Terlingua? Because there's definitely some mine shafts up in the mountains.
I didn't go looking for them. I'm severely claustrophobic, so I don't even want to get close to the mouth of one of those.
Those suckers are just a hole in the ground, and
that's terrifying.
Yeah, you drop they're marked off now, but when I was younger, you could walk up to one of those suckers, drop a rock off there, and not hear it hit. They were so deep, and I was just
thinking about it.
Yeah, that you should be. So tell me about the musical setup. I mean, tell me what it was like when you got there. How many artists were there? What was the venue? Did you have a good time playing? Were there multiple venues?
The venue, it was at the Cedar Springs Ranch was the name of the place, and it was held at this area of the ranch called the Goat Pens. And I think there had been some goat pens there at one time, and I think now they use it for camping mostly. They rent it out for camping. I think they have some kind of alien festival out there once a year as well. But man, it was just almost in like this crater, and there was just like mountains around it. So it was kind of enclosed, like you drove into it and it was like you couldn't see it until you got in it, And it was just dirt and cactus and stuff. There was a stage built in the kind of the middle of everything, and then there was another stage closer to the entrance. And that's a stage I played. I had two stages going that they would alternate at. So I played Friday night, 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. Yeah, there it is right there.
There you are, man.
Jack Nelson.
Right there.
Yep.
It's the 31st.
Yeah, I played on the 31st. I shut down the evening that night. Caleb, the guy putting it on, he messaged me before it happened. He said, "Hey, man, do you want to play Friday night, midnight to 1 a.m. or Saturday, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m.?" And I said, "Dude, I know there'll be more people awake and out at 5:30, 6:30, but something's going to be real cool about playing under the stars out in the open from midnight to 1." And I was right. It was very cool.
So you're out in the middle of nowhere, man.
Middle of nowhere. No phone service. It was nice.
That was is that the stage?
That's the stage there, yeah.
Yeah.
I was in a tent the whole time. So there was some severe wind that came through Thursday night. That was
wow.
Brutal. I mean, the Paul Logan band was up there playing, and I don't know how they got through it. They were just getting pelted, man, pelted. But they rocked it out. But dude, there was so much cool music, so many cool people. Just it was just a cool deal all around, man. It was, and like I said, it was a first year festival. So for Caleb, the guy that put it on, him and Brett did a fantastic job. And yeah, hopefully I'm, involved in more things they do.
That's fantastic. So, were there any particular songs that the crowd seemed to like most that maybe caught you off guard, or was it stuff you expected?
There was one that really surprised me. Like, as the people that were watching me at midnight on 1 o'clock or midnight on Friday night, they had, I think a lot of them had been celebrating most of the day. Do you think?
Which
I was kind of expecting. But I've got this little song I wrote not too long ago, just a couple months ago, if that long, called Fallen Hero. And it's like a 1.5 minute long song. I wrote it. I woke up from a nap and wrote it down in 5 minutes. And then I put some chords to it. And it's like, you know what? That's a complete song. I don't need to add any more to that. And so I played that. And this one woman in particular, like, really connected with it. And like, I finished it and she goes, "Play the next verse." I was like, that's all there is. And she goes, "Well, play it again then." And I said, okay. And she's like, "And then just keep playing after it. I'm going to make up words for it." I said, "Okay, cool." So I mean, and she really, like, I thought she was going to, she was like crying almost. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. So yeah, that song really hit. Over the Counter, the NyQuil song, always goes over real well. But that was one thing that was cool about the festival is I did all originals for the hour. I had an hour set. And I did all originals, which I normally don't do. Which was I was kind of like nervous of doing that. Like,
is that your first time to do that?
To do all originals for a full set, yeah.
That's great, man. That's a milestone. That's totally a milestone.
It was like I said, it was a little nerve-wracking because I was like, man, am I going to hold these people's attention for an hour with my own songs? But the people that were there were in it and they were responsive, and it was really cool.
That's fantastic. So you said you took some pictures, but not necessarily the music stuff.
Yeah, I just kind of wandered around and, climbed up on ridges and took pictures of the landscapes and the flowers and plants I could see and the rocks. There's a lot of cool rocks to take pictures of. So I got a few music stuff, but mostly it's just landscapes.
Well, that's That's fun. I'm glad you had a good time. And so I'm assuming it went well enough that they'll do this again.
Well, excuse me, Caleb, the guy that's put it on, he's actually moving, I believe. He was living down there, but he's moving. So, whether he'll do it again or do it somewhere else, I'm really not sure what his plan for the future is on that.
Right. Well, I'm glad you were able to do that. Like I said, that's a big milestone, being able to do an entire set of just your stuff.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So what do you got coming up? I mean, you said you got people. You and I talked about this, but it wasn't like where do people engage you? I'm not trying to wrap things up forever and ever, amen. But I was just like, now sounds like a good time to tell me about it. So where is that?
Facebook and Instagram, preferably Instagram. I like Instagram more than Facebook. And Instagram is at KWJ Music.
At KWJ Music.
That's the Instagram. Facebook is Kevin Wayne Johnson Music. You can find me on there. Those are the best two places. I am on TikTok, but I'm not very active on there. Same with Twitter. I think I've tweeted one thing. I don't even know if I have any followers on there. But Instagram.
I'm pulling up your Instagram page. So
yeah, that's I prefer that one just because it's a little cleaner, easier to use for me personally. Here's the guitar.
Yep, there is the guitar. You are correct. Going through some of these bad boys. April 8th, that's already behind us. That was yesterday. Or yesterday. 2 days ago.
Yeah, that was a cool gig. There was a turkey there.
A turkey?
Yeah, it just like they had a pet turkey, just like hung out and wandered around. Yeah, him and BK became good friends.
BK, did BK go with you down to Trilingua?
No, he didn't make that trip.
All right,
I played in Grandview. That's pretty close to where he lives, so
it's a good picture.
Well, thanks. Kelly took that one.
Cool, fantastic. So
yeah, just
there you go, people. Just check out his Instagram page. There's obviously a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah.
Followed by Jonna May. Do you know Jonna May pretty well?
I do. Yeah, I like her a lot. Yeah, she and I actually played a show together.
Really? Yeah. Jonna May. She was in our singer-songwriter competition we did back with Texas Big Star in 2017. I think she ended up second. I think everybody expected her to win. And that would not have been a bad thing if she had. The guy who won actually had a particularly interesting and engaging performance at the finals that worked. And like I said, I think everybody kind of assumed Jonna May might be winning. She ended up the runner-up, but I think we all won that day. I don't know if Jonna May thinks that. No, but she is.
Jonna May is very talented, and she's one of the ones. That's one thing I've been so lucky with is people agreeing to do shows with me. Like I'll ask if someone wants to do a show with me, and they're like, "Yeah, I'd love to." And so that's been cool to have people I respect and admire and enjoy listening to agree to do song swaps with me.
Have you ever had anybody back you up?
I have a guy named Cody Ellinger. I've had him play. He plays the cajon. He's a really talented drummer, but for me, he would just play the box. And that's been fun. It's hard for me because my timing is so singular to me. I'll say that.
So that's fair. I mean, a lot of people who not gigged with other people, it is a huge departure from what they're used to realize that they have to stay within a realm where others can stay in sync.
That was tough for me. That's no knock on Cody's talent at all. He's an incredibly rock solid. But I prefer to play in a way that's not by the metronome. Like I like to stop and dig into certain places and just make it sound like plates are falling out of the cupboard.
I'm not speaking for anybody, but at some point I'm going to put a thought in your head. We have a recording studio over here. You know where it is. You've been here more than once. You ought to. Sometime we need to get you back over for steaks. Have some steak, and then have Miriam accompany you while you sing your songs.
That would be awesome.
Just for fun. It's not that she's trying to get in on your gigs and stuff again. Just from the practice standpoint of the interaction. Miriam is really, really good at following people like that. And I just think it would be interesting if you heard like someone singing harmonies with you.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think you would enjoy that. And that would give you that one more. Now, the problem would be is if somebody else said they were going to do that, and they're not as good as Miriam, it may not be, it may not go as smoothly, but I think you could really enjoy that. Miriam, I'm offering Miriam, but I mean, that'd be fun.
It really would. Yeah, definitely be down for that. Well, that's one thing that was cool about playing with Jonna May. You know, she's such talented. She sings harmony for everybody around Waco, and she didn't know my songs, but she figured them out real quick and fell right in. And it was a nice surprise for me because I wasn't expecting it. Right. And I was playing and I hear this harmony. It's like, oh wow, that's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could be fun, and I think Miriam's down for that. So and the other thing is, Kevin, is you're a young guy. You don't necessarily have to hang out with a bunch of old people. You said you were already working on your own demand. So we have to come up with something to entice you to come over and hang out with us. Some meat, some well-cooked meat, not well-cooked, perfectly cooked, not well-cooked. That's the wrong way to cook a steak. So that would be a lot of fun. So, dude, we told people how to get hold of you on Instagram. Like I said, Facebook works as well. But yeah, is there anything you want to talk about or anything you want to share that since, like I said, this is the kind of thing that one or two people, maybe more, I don't know, that in the future, if this is out there, some of the people that like your stuff might want to know a little bit more about your background. We didn't really talk that many personal things, related jobs, local, but, I'm sure there's lots more about you that we didn't even come close to. But yeah, is there anything else that you would want to share or point people to?
Nothing I can think of. Just like I said, the Instagram, you stay up to date on that, so you'll know when stuff comes out. That's I post all my shows on there and Facebook, and that'll be where when I do release the EP, that'll come out. I would like to start doing some more videos and stuff. And I think we talked about live streaming as well.
Really? I forget.
I would love to do some. I would love to do more of that. I've done some TikTok live streams and Instagram lives, and they've been fun. So, if I can do more of that and expand my audience that way, I just keep looking for stuff like that.
Well, that's fantastic. Okay, so you know what? I thought of something completely unrelated to music that I find fun, so we can do that. Also, Keith, do me a favor and go find someone that we can raid, if you don't mind, so that we can raid people properly out of this particular stream. I think there's you and maybe a couple other people, but I don't know if you know how Twitch works that much, but when you finish up your stream, you take your audience, however big or small it is, and you dump them on someone else's channel, and that way you get to know. Yeah, it's a fun thing, and a ton of people, that's how they found Mother Myrtle and her channel. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, not at length, but just kind of fun, was I had a question that maybe is work related or maybe it's not, but I'm going to put something on the screen and you're going to tell me what I'm looking at. Okay, you ready? Here we go. What's that?
That is my eagle ring. That was a Deacon Snyder accessory.
You still wear it?
No, it's very cumbersome.
It's cool looking.
Yeah, it's a cool ring. I think that came, full disclosure, I think that came from one of those stores in the mall, like H&M or Forever 21 or one of those stores like that.
Lots of attitude.
And I was in there with my girlfriend at the time, and we were checking out, and that was at the register. And I was like, I want this. Like, I want this ring. She's like, you're stupid, but okay. And yeah, but it's huge, man. It's like it just takes up your whole finger.
So let me see some other pictures here. That's you playing somewhere.
Yeah, that's if I'm not mistaken, that's in Troy at the lumberyard.
All right, so there's that picture. No, this is what I was talking about. These, you still doing any woodwork?
I'm really not. I haven't been in a while. Not for any reason other than I just kind of got burnt out on it.
Yeah, you were doing a lot of it before that, and you were specializing on just regular lumber, not like woodworking lumber.
Yeah, just regular, Home Depot 2x4s.
So tell me about your friend here.
That's my dog Frank. He's outside right now, but he's still around. He's getting old.
He got the whole David Bowie thing going with the two different color eyes?
He does.
Yeah. So
he's about 14, 15 years old. He's getting up there, but he's still getting around pretty good.
Yeah. So it was basically 2x4s and stuff like that.
Yeah, just really simple stuff. Nothing too complicated. Plans I could find online and just knock them out. I did quite a bit of it for a while there when I was living in Clifton. Because when I was living in Clifton, I had a detached garage workshop, so I could go in there and just do whatever. But now it's kind of weather dependent because I don't have a garage anymore. I'm just kind of out in the elements. So, and I'm Fairweather Johnson. So,
well, Kevin, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. And as far as the music goes, and when you're looking for him online, you're looking for Kevin Wayne Johnson because there's too many Kevin Johnsons.
All right, there's a Kevin Johnson that does music, and I found out there's a Kevin Wayne Johnson that does music as well, but I don't have any more names to add. So the other one does gospel music, I think, exclusively. So yeah, I do songs about drinking NyQuil. The other one does gospel music. That's my song.
Well, I've got.
What mine are yours?
It's mine. I'm skipping it. I hope. I'm muting myself while it's ringing. So, hoping my wife will pick it up, but I don't know that she's doing that. Yeah, maybe she got it. So we're going to go raid somebody, and you guys that are here right now, I think that is the right thing to do. We are going to go say hi to some people. Kevin, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I asked you about this way back when I thought I was actually going to do this. It took me a while to get it going, so I'm glad you were patient and willing to do this.
Well, thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it, and this was a lot of fun.
Well, I wanted it to be as enjoyable as possible. You got lots of technology involved.
Really,
it doesn't always have to go well, and it's taken a while to set things up so you can hear what you need to hear and see what you need to see and all that kind of stuff. But I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it, and like I said, I hope that in the future. That some of your fans or new fans to be that have not yet discovered you might be able to find this and enjoy getting to know a little bit more about you as well. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I am going to go to a different screen, play a little bit of music, but you guys are in the chat. Go say hi to where we're going and tell them to check out J.M. Wallace. That's my Twitch channel. That's where we do all the Music Quest stuff. And thank you so much, Kevin. We're going to call it good. All right.
Thank you. See you.